Welcome to the Retreat Radio, where we go beyond temporary fixes and surface level symptom management. Here, we dig into the real root causes behind your symptoms so that you can understand your body, advocate for your health, and ask the right questions. I'm Heather Witt, physician assistant and owner of the Retreat Wellness and Aesthetics. This podcast sits at the intersection of aesthetics, longevity, and functional medicine, and you'll get information without the sugarcoating, the trends, or the nonsense fluff. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Retreat Radio. I'm so excited to finally be up and running. I cannot tell you guys how much work has gone into creating this podcast. I mean, even just coming up with a name for it. I went back and forth. I had to download all the different platforms. I needed to learn what microphone to use, how to even do this, how to, connect it to all the platforms. It's been a lot of work, but it's something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time and something that I'm truly passionate about. I've been looking for a long form outlet for my education. Every time I try to record things in the office, the girls always yell at me, "You're rambling too much, you're talking too much." And I'm like, how can I talk about this topic for 30 to 60 seconds and get all the information out that's needed? And this is exactly why I created this podcast, because a lot of the information out there that you get on social media, Instagram, TikTok, they are short little burst videos that give you a very surface level explanation of what you're talking about, and often are based off of trends, putting some silly little dance behind it. In my opinion, it's become a popularity contest. Who's the best dancer? Who comes up with the cutest ideas? And it's really not about the information anymore, which is really sad, because we have to remember that at the end of the day, this stuff is medicine. People can get hurt, things can go wrong. And so I'm really excited to be able to have a platform where I can talk about it for as long as I want, and people are here to listen, and I can really help to turn around this industry and really give you good insights on what the best thing is and not base it off of some trend. So first off, by the time this posts, it will be 2026. So welcome to the new year. I want to take this first episode just to kind of tell you a little bit about myself, a little bit about my background, why you should be listening to what I have to say, what this podcast is really all about, and what you can expect from it over the indefinite time that I do this podcast. So let's jump right in. Again, my name is Heather Witt. I'm a physician assistant. I graduated from PA school in 2017. I went to Western University of Health Sciences out here in Southern California. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I actually, fun fact, am a college dropout, right? So I went to college for my first 2 years at UW-Madison, and then I transferred to UW-Milwaukee. I just needed something a little bit different. I was at 20 minutes from my house. I felt like I already knew the city. I just needed a change. So I transferred to UW-Milwaukee, and I did about a year and a half there, and then I dropped out. I kind of was a partier. I went a little crazy. I wasn't getting good grades. I actually was an accounting major because I love numbers. I love myself a good spreadsheet. And I couldn't get into the classes that I needed to finish my degree. And my friend told me about an esthetician and how she was thinking about going to beauty school. And I was like, oh, that sounds really fun. That sounds really interesting. And so I started looking more into it, and I decided to do it. So I went to the Aveda Institute in downtown Milwaukee, and I became an esthetician. From there, I started working for a plastic surgeon in Madison, Wisconsin, Dr. Richard Parfit. If anybody's looking for a great plastic surgeon, he is your guy. He's humble. He's a great man. He's super nice, and he is amazing at what he does. So I started working for him. I was actually his scrub tech, so I have a lot of background in surgery. And then I also worked in the clinic on the skin side. Now, I kind of determined that I wanted to go a little bit further with this. I wanted to advance my skills, and I didn't really want to live in Wisconsin much longer. I was also with my ex-husband at the time. We weren't married yet, but we were together. And he kind of had aspirations of living in Southern California. So when I started applying to PA school, I only applied to schools out here. But I went straight for PA because I
I didn't want to go through the hassle of becoming a nurse and everything that comes along with being a nurse and working in the hospital. I really wanted to go more that medical route, that kind of more doctor philosophy route in learning. And I wanted to have prescriptive authority. And I thought that I might actually want to work in medicine and maybe even be in surgery. So moved out to California once I got in and I became a PA. I started working for various med spas part-time while I built my clientele. And then I landed at a pretty prominent med spa here in the Newport Beach area. And I was there for a good 3.5 years. And I thought it was my home. I thought I would be there forever. I was treated with respect. I was given authority to make decisions. I was involved in a lot of the decisions. It really was the best of both worlds. I got to work on admin and kind of help out with things, but I also got to see my patients and go home at the end of the day and kind of close the books. Me and the girl who owned it kind of just started having differing opinions of how to treat patients. I was kind of seeing that practice morph into something that didn't really fit where I wanted to go with my career. No harsh feelings, no bad things there, just, two different ideas. And so I sat down and I started creating a budget and I was like, I can do this. And so I went off on my own and I created the Aesthetic Retreat. We have sensory branded. It's been a success. It's been great. A lot of my patients followed me over and I built new clientele from there. It kind of just was the Aesthetic Retreat for a while. I had aspirations of bringing in wellness, but I wasn't really sure what that meant yet, what that looked like. My background was really only in aesthetics, so I wanted to start with what I knew and what I knew was safe for opening a new business. But I'd say about 1.5 2 years in, I started getting that itch and I was like, I need more. My patients are looking beautiful, but they're still feeling like crap on the inside. And at the time, I was getting older. I'd already had a baby. I was approaching my mid-30s. Well, I was in my mid-30s, approaching my late 30s. And I just started feeling different and I started feeling off and I started not having as much drive. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I've never had issues like this in my life. And so I kind of went down the rabbit hole of wellness. I built that out for about a year before we even brought anybody on. We hired Maddie. Me and her kind of finished building out everything together. I trained her and then we officially launched in January of last year. So January of 2024. And more seriously kind of had our grand opening launch in July of 2024. So it's been a ride. It's been super fun. And I've really found myself gravitating toward that wellness side of things. And there's so much information out there. I mean, you have providers who have differing opinions. You have doctors, PAs, nurses. Even in some states, you have non-medical providers that are able to do stuff like this, and everybody has a different opinion. And then on top of that, you layer in those influencers. Ooh, I hate myself some influencers. So there are so many people with no medical degree, no background in wellness, no background in aesthetics, and they're getting on social media and they're spreading messages that are false, untrue, exaggerated, fear-mongering, not given the whole picture, based off snapshots in time. And consumers in the industry are listening to these people because they respect how they look. They respect this glamorous life that they show online, which, hate to break it to you, half the time is fake. And they start making decisions based on their own healthcare, based on what some of these uneducated people are saying. So I'm really excited to bring a platform that is separate from my business, which is just a place where I can come and I can be real and I can share information on research that I've done. So my philosophy in my practice and the way that I look at these things are, I'm not going off of trends. I'm not going off of buying a laser device based on a name that everybody knows that I know will sell easier. I am doing things in my practice based off of research and finding out what works and what doesn't, because I want to bring the best of the best to my patients. These things are not cheap. And if I'm taking thousands of your dollars, I want to make sure you are getting the results that you are looking for. And I'm going to base this on science and experience and not on some fancy trend of what everybody's saying that a year from now, I'm going to have to say, oh, sorry, I guess it doesn't work as well as we thought, because that puts me in a weird position. So that's what this podcast is going to be all about. I'm going to be stripping down the aesthetic industry and the wellness industry. I'm going to give you some insights into some of the BS that goes on. I'm going to give you some insights into some of the wrong information that is out there. And I'm also going to be giving you information based off of science, based off of studies, based off of what we're seeing in our practice here, so that you can make the best informed decisions for yourself. I want to provide you the information so that you can digest it easier, make it less confusing, and really show you the power of what this stuff can do for you. So I'm so excited that you're here and you're along for the journey. So I want to share another story with you guys. So I would say about 3 months ago, so like Q4, I really just started getting fed up with everything in this industry and all of the false information. And I was like, I'm just driving myself crazy. And the only thing I can do is take control and do something that I can control. And so what I did during that time was I stripped back everything in my practice. So I was doing tons and tons and tons of research. I was taking every little individual piece of my practice and, okay, are we doing it the best? You know, if we're doing this procedure, do we have the best post-care in place for them to get the best results? Do we have the best packages in place? What is the best layering order in order for patients to get the best results? In terms of our wellness programs, do we have the best dosing? Do we have the best protocols in place for if a patient starts having an issue, what should we do next? And so I broke down each component and I worked on each one, still not even done, still working on it, but I was finding so many gaps in what you generally learn at trainings in these industries, at conferences. So I was finding that I was really getting most of my information from literature, studies, other, prominent people that I respect in this industry who have similar beliefs as I do, and not just the famous celebrities in our industry. And I was finding that was where I was finding all of the great information and learning how to really transform my practice and to provide the best of the best to my patients. And then I thought, well, why don't I share all of that on my podcast? I now have this platform. And so that's exactly what my plan is. I want all of you to be well educated on what the proper course of action is for whatever procedure or whatever medication you're thinking of taking is, so that you are making sure you're making the best informed decision and not getting bamboozled by marketing or trends or just, giving your money away for nothing. So what are some of the topics that we will cover? We will cover anything and everything aesthetics, fillers, Botox, Dysport, Xeomin, the difference between all the neurotoxins, what dosages really should be. We'll talk about all the new regenerative therapies, what works, what doesn't, kind of that hierarchy of strength of products. We'll talk about legality. So this, will be a podcast for both patients as well as other providers in the industry. So talking about how to keep yourself safe within your practice and how to make sure as a patient that you're asking the right questions to make sure you're staying safe. We'll also talk about wellness and functional medicine. So we'll talk about hormones, gut health, peptides, which is a big thing emerging right now. We will talk about supplements and supplement brands and how to choose the best supplement, because not all supplements are created equal. We'll talk about synergistic treatments. So it'd be great if you do one thing, but really combining 2 or 3 things together are going to give you a better result. So really anything and everything. I have some topics kind of lined up, but I'm always open to suggestions. So in the comments, if you guys want to email us or DM us and you want to give any suggestions or ask any burning questions, I really want this to kind of be interactive, and I want you guys to kind of have a say of the direction of where this is going. So that is all I have for this first episode. Just a real quick, brief intro. We are going to be posting episodes every week, and the topics will obviously be different. They will be a mix of aesthetics and wellness. And stay tuned for the first actual episode. We'll be talking about a generalized overview of hormones and the WHI study. And then following that, we'll be talking about peptides, which again, I know is really huge right now. So I can't wait to see you there, and you guys have a great start to 2026. We'll see you later on the Retreat Radio.
The information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only. It reflects clinical experience and opinion and is not intended to serve as a diagnosis, treatment plan, or medical advice. As always, please consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your health, medications, or treatment plan. If you want to be a part of our community, make sure to follow us on Instagram at theretreat.wellness and theretreat.aesthetics. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me today, and until next time.